This video is going to cover a few techniques you can use to create more effective database searches. Today we are going to be playing around in the nursing databases, which you can find on the Nursing Research Guide. But these techniques can be used in most databases regardless of their discipline. We're going to start in CINAHL, which is the preeminent nursing database. We'll start with a search for hand washing. This is the most basic type of search. Put in one or two keywords and see what you get. But notice that while hand washing is highlighted here, it's not highlighted down here. This is because the databases use hand washing as one word and not as two. Computers are dumb. They don't realize that hand washing as one word has anything to do with hand washing as two words. They are looking for sequences of letters. This 4-letter sequence and that 7-letter sequence. They're not looking for this 11-letter sequence of letters. They don't realize that these two sequences of letters have anything to do with words or concepts or each other. So the first technique that I suggest is to look at your results and see what words that the authors are using in their abstracts and titles, and what words that the databases are using to describe your topic. Sometimes the hardest thing that you can do is find that very first relevant article using your own keywords that tells you what the words are that your field is using to describe their research. You're looking in the field, so you want to use the same words that the fields and the professionals and the doctorate levels and the nurses are using. The second technique is to go back to your original search and add the word "or." And when I do that, the database recommends searches based on what past researchers have looked for before, so you can benefit from their expertise with just a simple click. And when I do this new search for hand washing as 2 words, or hand washing as 1 word, or hand hygiene, I go from 817 results to 6,709. So maybe the best article in the world on hand washing just happened to call it hand hygiene. And if it did, then it might be in these 5,900 results that didn't come up in my first search. By using ORs, you're making sure you're getting every article on your topic. And once you get this number, this results number big, you can start using the database limiters like full text, date, type of publication, or subject heading to limit it down to something that's more focused and manageable to actually go through the results. The next technique that I recommend is putting every individual concept that has to do with your topic on its own line. So say we were particularly interested in hand washing in seniors. So I'm going to search for seniors, and because the idea of old people is fundamentally different than the idea of putting something on your hands to sterilize them, I'm putting that on a new technique. On a new line. I want this concept has to be in there as well as the concept about washing your hands. So when I do that, I get 33 results. So 6,600 of these didn't really have a lot to do with my topic. But we saw before that seniors is that sometimes the database doesn't find all of the articles on a concept because it's only looking for the word seniors. So if they are in a hospital that calls them geriatric patrons or elderly patients or aged patients, those might not be there. So I can use the OR technique again and get all sorts of recommendations for other words that people might use to refer to seniors. And when I do that, I go from 33 to 390. But all of these have something to do with older people and their hand washing techniques. So it's still relevant to me, and now I can go through and limit down and do all the things that I want to do with those results. The last technique that you can use is called truncation. So again, computers are really dumb. Not only does the database not realize that hand washing and hand washing are the same, it doesn't know that words like therapy has anything to do with words like therapies, therapeutic, therapists, or any other type of word. So when I search for, say, therapy, and again, I put that on its own line because therapy is fundamentally different than the idea of sterilizing your hands. I'm only getting the words that say the word therapy. So here I can do a different technique which is called truncation. And so truncation, we chop off the end of the word and we put a little asterisk there. And what we're telling the database is to look for any word that starts with THERAP and then any ending after that. So therapy, therapies, therapist, therapeutic, therapeutical, any word that you can think of that would start with THERAP. And when I do that, I go from 454 results to 912. So just that little asterisk doubled my results. There were some articles that said therapists that didn't say therapy. Now, for instance, this one is coming up with therapeutic. That didn't come up before because I said don't look for therapeutic, look for therapy. So this little asterisk is a really nice way to just sort of chop off the end of your word and get a whole bunch of other choices. You can also use the OR technique. So if I want to, I can use OR to get some other ideas and then maybe put in the asterisk after that so I get my therapy choices again. And even there, I go from 912 to 1700. So it's a really nice way to quickly get this number as big as possible so you're capturing all the words that might have to do with your topic. And then you can use the limiters to get down to, say, whatever you're actually interested in. This same technique will work in other databases. So we'll go back to our nursing research guide and we'll choose, say, a ProQuest database this time. And in ProQuest, just to show you, if I choose hand washing therapy, just to use the similar thing that I used last time, I get 1400 results. That's pretty good. But if I come up here to advanced search, I get those multiple lines like before. And so I can put in the same exact search that we did in the other database. Hand hygiene. And then we'll put in therapy with a little asterisk, and we'll say search. And so now I go from 14,000 to 30,000. So those same techniques that you used over in EBSCOhost, you can use in ProQuest and pretty much any other database that we have. Research is not a straightforward process. It's a loop, and it's learning, and it's trying new searches and trying to find all the different ways that the authors, the field might talk about your topic, making sure that you are reviewing all the literature that has to do on your topic, not just the literature that happened to use the same word that you thought of first. If you need help using these techniques or finding and accessing resources from our databases, you are free to contact your liaison. Their contact information is on the research guide for each program, usually on the right side.